Hello, friends. That's right. We got the Star Wars 9 whole movie leaked via rumors here. Now, just a warning, these are just rumors, unsubstantiated by construction workers who met with Star Wars 9 people, making sure that the Rise of the Resistance ride is true to the movie. But here is Star Wars 9, the whole movie leaked via rumors prior to any George Lucas maybe changes that we'll comment at the end. But these Disney people, uh, they still want to make it clear this is Disney's Star Wars for their people, and nothing they did has to be corrected. And that's very obvious at the opening scene. And again, uh, they feel this is Disney again. They feel they can still borrow from any other people's work and claim it as theirs, even like the early Star Wars movies. They just the Force Awakens was just one of the Star Wars movies reshuffled around and renamed, with essentially doing the same thing as George Lucas, but they own the rights, or the rights are in common grounds or common area, and the copyrights have expired. So, but still, it's something they took from someone else and not their original work. But again, according to rumors, the big Star Wars opening is they go down. They start with a whole planet, developed just like Coruscant in the earlier movies. Everything is covered with buildings and structures and stuff, and then you float above it, and then there's like all these spaceships flying around in these spaceship lanes, and then they say they have no excuses. They don't have to retcon anything. They didn't do anything wrong. And above the spaceships, okay, so there's a planet fully developed, and then above that as the spaceships, all these spaceships flying around it, and then up above that are all these people with the Force, with their hands out in front of them, and they're flying out in space with no suits on or anything, and some are walking their dogs, and but they have the Force. So they have the Force. They have the one hand out front. They all look like Mary Poppins, and there's just rows and rows of lines of people, even more than the busy spaceship lanes. But they're people lanes out in space, flying around with one hand, and then some are walking their dogs and stuff, and then some are going floating down to the planet, and some are shooting up, jumping up into this air and going up into space with their hands in front of them, and they're flying around using the Force. And the thing is, uh, uh, they stole from the other thing. They just that's the opening scene, and then comes the opening battle, and there's a big hunking battle above the planet, and the the resistance. I mean the First Order people are trying to come down and steal some important resistance leaders. Like there's 9 left, and so they're going to try to steal the 9 people, but they got some help now, and see the people floating out in space with their arms in front of them also have new weapons. They have a new weapon where like they can flip their wrist, and you know how like those little small guns with 2 barrels would come out, and they and point, and they could someone could shoot like it was hidden in the arm, and the little gun comes out with the 2 barrels, and he could shoot 2 shots and kill somebody, with it, but it's all sneaky and all. Uh, but the little gun that they have is a Disney gun, and this little Disney gun can shoot down spaceships. It can shoot down Death Stars even. It can shoot down the biggest of weapons because this is Disney, right? And so all these people are out in space. They turn to the attackers, and they have these little pistols with the 2 barrels open that came out from under their elbow and into their hand, and they're firing, and they're killing all the attackers. And the thing is, they explain it by this saying the people are too small to hit. See, the starships and the big ships, they try to shoot at these little small people targets, and they just move out of the way. they're using the force to move out of the way, and so they're all these people are getting, all the attackers are getting destroyed, and it's all the people that just rejoicing at the end that they won, you know, with their little pistols, because but they're powerful pistols that can destroy anything, and you know, and so but and they're out in space, and that's their new defense. The people are so small, they you know, like big hunking cannon shots are coming at them, and they just dodge them real easy, and then they take their little pistol, two barrel pistol, and they fire, and they can take down like even a Death Star, even the Death Planet with it. So that's that's the beginning of the Star Wars movie. You know, it's a big beginning, and they're making it clear that don't have to they don't have to apologize for anything. They can be as woke as they can be, and they can do anything. You know, like Mary Sue, and even with these little weapons now that they just make, they're so smart. They just made them up, and then now they have these little handheld weapons that can even destroy a whole planet star base killer. And so, uh, so that's the first part, and then it kind of, you know, they're celebrating the victory, and it was, and then it slows down a little bit, and then it comes to the question of Rey's parents. They're going to reveal Rey's parents right off the bat, you know, to get, you know, to help get the keep the movie going. It slows up a little bit, but you know, after this big battle of all these people with the little pistols that won, and they come down and they float down to the planet, you know, with like fiery balls around them, but it doesn't matter because they have the force around them, and it keeps them safe. And they land. Some land with their dogs, and they start walking, and they go into a celebration. And then one of them is on the planet is Rey, and finally they're gonna reveal Rey's parents. Now, Rey, the actress, said, you know, I don't know how uh, nobody has figured this out yet. And then what she said, what she meant was that, you know, Rey, the character, fixes spaceships. You know, she fixes spaceships like women now would fix a car, and that meant, you know, that was a big thing Ray said, that told everything, that revealed everything, that, you know, that she's a lesbian, and her parents are going to be told, you know, by, you know, like a nice, you know, store small scene coming in, and her parents are going to be Ellen DeGeneres and Queen Latifah. uh, they're going to be revealed that in like a cameo, I guess that is they call it. You know, so Ellen DeGeneres and Queen Latifah, according to rumors, are going to be revealed as Rey's parents. And then, and it was, and Disney is going to be saying it was all well developed in the movie. We told you she could fix spaceships, so you shouldn't have been surprised. We told everything right there. That's Disney's development of a storyline. She could fix a spaceship, and then that came to be about her parents were Ellen DeGeneres and Queen Latifah. And then, you know, it kind of gets, you know, sexy a little bit, you know, with the lesbian sex, you know, sexy lesbians and all. And then Ray has a fling with Rose Tico, and we find out then that if you make love to Ray, you got to be careful because she'll give you, quote, midichlorians, and and they really make you itch about once every month. So you got to be careful if when you make love to Ray, that you don't catch her, quote, midichlorians, and then they showed Rose Tico. She's always scratching and itchy all the time because of her encounter with Ray, and so they break up. And then and then the movie heats up again with a shocking death. Everybody was saying there's a shocking death at the beginning of the Star Wars 9 movie, and it is a shocker. and it's after it's quick. It's like in the first scene, but after they made their declarations that nothing we did was wrong, and it's Ray. Uh, Ray is kind of distraught a little bit about what happened to Rose Tico, and it's getting around that she gives people quote midichlorians if they love her, and then she wasn't thinking right, and she's flying the Millennium Falcon, and she starts to land, and then all of a sudden it's R2D2 underneath the ship, and he's running for his life, but she just slams the Millennium Falcon right on top of R2D2, and it smashes him, flattens him out to like a thin penny, how a big hunk and heavy ship would. And that's the last run of R2D2. That's some people got that song wrong. It's the last run of R2D2. R2D2 is seen running for his life, and all of a sudden, bam! The Millennium Falcon just slams down on him, and he's flattened. And there goes the 25% royalties to R2D2 to Lucas. No more. No more is it Disney going to have to pay that if everybody thinks he's dead and it doesn't sell anymore. So then they'll start buying that beach ball orange thing, you know, uh, thing that it replaced essentially R2D2. So yeah, it's a shocking scene. That's why you don't see him right next to a C3PO when he's killed off. It's Ray didn't know how to handle the Millennium Falcon all right. She was a little bit distracted and flattens R2D2. And there goes, and that will flatten the 25% royalty commissions to George Lucas too. uh, uh, then uh, then the movie, it's a little bit sad after that, but then the movie heats up again when Raylo starts up. Raylo happens. Uh, they can use Kylo Ren can use the Force, and he can keep them, the quote midichlorians off of him using the Force pushing him off, and so he's immune essentially to quote midichlorians that Ray gives it people who love her, and so it happens, and then but then here comes the battle. They're battling on top of that ship in the water. Uh, you know, there's Kylo Ren swinging at Ray, and it's all because they they did conceive a child, but Ray has found out it has Down syndrome, and she doesn't want the child. She wants to try again, and Kylo is saying, no, 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 our child will have the Force, and so the Force will keep it from having any bad, repercussions from the Down syndrome. But she says, no, 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 I want an abortion, and they start fighting it out, and that's the big first fight on top of the starship with all the water raging, and it's all about the abortion, and then uh, Ray wins, and then she has the abortion, and it breaks Kylo Ren's heart. That would have been his first child, and he says the Force would have kept their child normal and even better than normal, and so he's heartbroken, and Kylo Ren, their Raylo isn't anymore, and so he falls astray to the dark side again, and he's kind of lonely, and all of a sudden he finds the Emperor Palpatine lying on an altar, and this is again, you know, Disney. They can borrow from other films all they want, they think, and here they go again. Here's the Emperor Palpatine is lying on like an altar, and his hand is down and reaching down to the ground, and down on the ground is an apple with one bite in it, and apparently he took a bite of an apple. The scene looks like he took a bite of an apple and then he fell asleep, and then Kylo Ren comes by, and then some of, and then like the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This is, I guess, they're taking it from that show, and there's some of the Snow White and Seven Dwarfs music comes on, and Kylo Ren is there, and he sees the Emperor Palpatine on the altar, and so Kylo Ren goes over there. He takes off his mask, and he kisses the Emperor Palpatine lying down, and it wakens him up. And that's how the Emperor Palpatine comes back to life. It's a true love's kiss from Kylo Ren, and then some of the dwarves come out. There's Sleepy and Dopey, but this is Star Wars, right? And so and then next, after those dwarves comes out, then comes McSteamy, and then McDreamy, and then even more than seven come out, and they're the Thunder Down Under dancers, and they're all around there, and some are dancing, celebrating the Emperor Palpatine coming to life, and Kylo Ren is right there. And then here's that rumored thing where is already rumored how this movie was going to show how two people coming together would be even more powerful in the Force. And so that's it. This is it. And the Emperor Palpatine and Kylo Ren come together, and they become even more powerful in the Force than either one of them were. And for a while, they're just ruling the Empire. And and instead of calling them the dwarves, they're called the Knights of Ren. That's We finally see the Knights of Ren then. The Knights of Ren are called, one is called Sleepy, one is called Dopey, and then one is called McSteamy, and one is called McDreamy, and then the rest are look like the Thunder Down Under dancers from Australia. Where they don't wear any clothes and they're all flexing their muscles and they're dancing. Those are finally revealed as the Knights of Ren, and so all together they start making havoc. They take over. They try to take over everything, and but then and they're winning battles, and they're having parties and all fun. And the Emperor. We find out one of Emperor Palpatine's party tricks was that he could bend over and fart, and then he would do one of those lightning strikes with one of his fingers to the fart, and he could light it up. And so all this time, we never knew he was the life of the party because he could do tricks like that. He would bend over and fart, and then he'd do a lightning strike at his fart, and it'd be a big hunk and plume of fire. And then someone else would come up to him and bend over and fart, and he would give another lightning strike, and he could make that one go into a big hunk and plume of fire. And so everybody's laughing and enjoying it. And then and to the enemies, like three or four like Knights of Ren would circle one of the enemies at a party, and they'd fart, 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 and then there's a fart all around the enemy, and then the Emperor Palpatine would zap him with his finger bolt, and then the poof, the guy would be burning, he'd be burning to death, and they'd be like other Knights of Ren just farting at the guy, and they just burn the guy to death. And that's one of their new torture ways, party torture. They had fun making fart plumes, and then they had fun, torturing some of their enemies there. And boy, and then that's how Kylo learns how to use the Force, the lightning bolts, not to fight anybody, but to light his farts. So and then soon he's the life of the party. And so and that's when you hear the big Emperor Palpatine laugh. Is right after his apprentice does his first fart and lights it up with his finger lightning, and it's a big hunk and plume of fire. And that's the Emperor laughing that so hard that finally, you know, his Kylo Ren can do a fart plume just like him. And is after a while, it's one of those force powers that was, politeness. When everybody, whoever has a force, if they farted in public, they would do a quick lightning bolt to the backside and then burn it up, and no one would smell it. They'd make sure nobody was burned, but no one would smell a fart for such a long, long time. But then, at night, when the emperor's asleep, uh, he still did those old people's fart. And after a while, Kylo Ren just couldn't take it. He couldn't light up the fart. He might light up the emperor on fire and they get fighting or something like that. And he just had to take the old person's fart. And after a while, everybody, if you ever run into an old person's fart, you know what I'm talking about. They are 10 times worse than anything that you ever come across as a fart. They just smell bad. And Kylo Ren, after like the 100th old person fart from the Emperor Palpatine, said, forget it. So he ends it with Emperor Palpatine because he just can't take the farts anymore. So the movie slows up again. The Kylo breaks it off with the Emperor. And, and then this is when Disney introduces one of their new force powers. And that, there's a lonely Kylo Ren in front of his computer screen, and this is where Disney introduces the new force power of staring at your computer screen while you're pleasuring yourself. That's when a Disney force power. Uh, it's you know, this is it's like the perfect time. Kylo Ren is heartbroken, and so he's on the internet looking at girls or whatever, and so this is Disney's new force power for going to be introduced in Star Wars 9. Uh, Looking at your computer screen while you're pleasuring yourself is a new force power, and then he's kind of sad, and he needs a lot of money because he finds out and the emperor took all of his money, and so everything's in the emperor's name, and so he's kind of desperate for money to pay for troops and equipment, and he thinks of Rey and her midichlorian giveaway problem, and he goes and he starts pounding, and this is what is he doing? What is he doing? And he's making a new small miniature mask. He calls it the crotch protector, and it's like a mini Star Wars. These are all rumors now. Nothing has been substantiated, but it's like a Darth Vader mask, and it's a crotch protector that you wear on the outside of your pants, and it breathes heavy. It goes, and in this case, breathes heavy like someone's in the middle of heavy sex. But it's a crotch protector, and you wear it having sex, and it's breathing heavy too, and it kind of gets you in the mood, and it stops the spread of quote midichlorians. It'll stop it'll stop the spread of any sex disease that is still around that hasn't been cured. Because this is modern time. Almost all diseases have been you know cured. There's a cure for them, except once in a while a sex disease comes up. Uh, who knows how it came about? It's probably a human and then a non-human having sex or something, and then they catch something, and this mini Darth Vader crotch protector will stop anybody from getting any kind of sexual disease, and it makes Kylo Ren a fortune. So everybody's like at a bar and stuff, and they're wearing their crotch protectors, and there's like 20 or 30 going, you know. But it's all part of the nice bar scene and the music and all, because it means like no one's going to get sick by any disease, and they're everywhere, and billions and billions of people buying them. The Darth Vader crotch protector, and Kylo Ren makes his fortune, and now he has the armies and he has the equipment to start fighting again on his own. And then that's when a big fight takes place. This is like the last big fight of the movie, and it's he has his armies, and Emperor Palpatine has his armies, and Rey and the Resistance has his armies and spaceships, and they're all gonna battle. This is gonna be a three-way battle to the death, and it's kind of gonna be intriguing, because if you can get two of them fighting each other, and then you keep your forces back, then you can finish off the winner easy, so there's a lot of going back and forth, trying to talk everybody into doing the wrong move, and a lot of mind games. And it's really this first ever three-way battle where who knows who's going to win. And uh, and then and that's where the horse animals are on top of the ships in space. And guess what? It's just an easy explanation. Disney is just shaking their head. Why doesn't anybody get it? They're saying animals have the force too. They don't have to have the arms up in the air either, but animals, certain animals have the force too. They can go into space and fly into space, and nothing's going to happen to them. It's already been explained in Star Wars 8. They just, yeah, and this is all rumors, and they haven't been substantiated yet by construction workers, though, who have met the people who are involved with Star Wars 9 and making sure Star Wars 9 is and the Star Wars land is one and the same. And that's why a lot of this, the opening of the Star Wars lands is not going to happen until December and January. That's right when the Star Wars 9 is going to open. So all three of them are going to be like opening, like a three-way grand opening too, to represent the three armies fighting each other. But the both parks will have both two rides, and then the Star Wars 9 movie is going to be coming up, and so it's like a three bang all hit in December to try to get sales, and it kind of ties in to this three-way fight, and and we learned during this fight that people with the Force and then the animals with the Force can go right out on top of like star destroyers easily. Disney already said, "Hey, that's a new Disney Force power," and so and then it's all part of the big battle, and all during this big battle, we learned too how animals and humans are one in the Force, and so that's why everybody needs to be a vegetarian. So during this three-way battle, part of the talk, and there's like a lot of head games going along. You fight first. No, you fight first. No, you attack first. And then part of that is someone, telling, oh, this is such a lovely horse, and it doesn't even slip on metal and everything. It's wow, because it uses the force to step on things too, and so it won't slip on the metal like how a regular horse would. And then they're saying, yeah, yeah, and it says that's why we should all be vegetarians. We should, if everybody knew the truth, uh, everybody would be vegetarians, and we would never eat animals ever again. And that's part of it. And then, so the three-way battle is coming. They finally all three-way. It's a three-way battle. They all get tricked or pulled into it one way or another. So it's a three-way battle to the death. And then that's when we learn that woman who went light speed into the First Order at the end of Star Wars 8, she survived that. Yes, Disney has that woman that went uh, light speed onto the First Order, survived that because she used the Force. She went in. She end up. They show her end up tumbling out in space, and then she just used the Force, and she went to the nearest planet and then landed on the nearest planet using the Force, and that was it. And so she came back, and then she does it again. She does that that light speed into Emperor Palpatine's forces, uh, while Rey and Kylo Ren are back together fighting the winning Emperor, and then she wipes out the Emperor's forces. And then guess what? She survives that again. She remembers how she tumbled out of the spaceship, and then so she tumbles out the same way, and so she tumbles back, and then she flies over to another spaceship, and they let her in, and they all celebrate, and then Kylo and Rey, their forces are so spent and so tired, but the love between them is still there, and so they come together, and they are one again, and that's and unfortunately, all through this last battle, I can say it now after the battle is over. We learned that that pilot Poe guy is a Mary Sue. I mean, all yeah, it's kind of unbelievable, what the guy can do. We don't see him have any training. They just say this pilot Poe is one of the greatest of all pilots, but I'm saying he's a Mary Sue too. He's all of a sudden, they don't say how, but all of a sudden he can do all this miraculous flying, turning the ship and destroying like 8 or 9 ships all at once. He's doing that again, but the enemy just has more forces than he has. So he's getting knocked around too, and but he's a Mary Sue. If you come to think of it, he can do all these grand powers, grand moves, grand shots, can take out all these different kind of weapons and stuff, and miss all being shot at, uh, because he's a Mary Sue. They just gave him all these special powers. They never developed him like Han Solo or anything like that. He's just a Mary Sue, and guess what? In his heart, he is a Mary Sue too. He ends up with Finn. Yeah, uh, the pilot Poe Mary Sue. He's acting like a Mary Sue, and he finally they break out, and the Finn, the black guy with the stormtrooper. They finally get together, and it's they are one. They come out as a couple, and that's more Disney woke politics. And believe me, the Star Wars 9 is it's a battle. Star Wars 7 and 8 showed it's a battle, and Disney is on the attack, and they're woke, and they have their politics, and they really mean it when they say, if you don't like this movie, if you don't like Star Wars Land, then don't come. They really mean that. It's an attack on us, on Star Wars lovers and everything, and they aren't backing down one bit. And in fact, they're going to be attacking more. And that's when the pilot Poe turns out to be the Mary Sue. And he does all this fantastic stuff without any training. It's hard to believe. And and they don't say he has a force or anything. And then he gets married to Finn, and they're kissing and stuff on screen and hugging and everything, and talking about adopting kids. And so it's that's part of the victory ending of the battle. That Poe and Finn are out, and they get married, and then Raylo happens again, for real, and they're married, and it's and then Ray it's the end of the show is just unbelievable. You know how Star Wars 8 started with that "Your Mama" joke. Yeah, and people couldn't believe the whole Star Wars 8 movie. Just the beginning set up a "Your Mama" joke, and then people are going to be very upset about this rumored ending to Star Wars. Uh, it's Disney's ending to 9 movie saga over 40 years or whatever is Raylo happens, and then Ray and Kylo are in the hospital, and they're gonna have twins. They're gonna have twin babies like before, and Kylo is there, and their friends are there, and the Black Eye and Poe is there, and they're gonna have twins, and there's a lot of love in the in the hospital. There's a lot of love there, and then it's time for the babies to come out, and then Ray has the babies, and they come out black. The babies come out black. This is the big Disney Star Wars end to the saga. The babies come out black. Kylo looks at Finn, that black stormtrooper. The black stormtrooper starts running, and then Kylo runs after him. And that's the big ending for the saga of Star Wars 9, the whole 9 movies. Is uh, Ray has two black children, uh, joke. Oh my gosh. And then, but now again, I tell you, I have to warn you, these are just rumors. They're unsubstantiated, but from construction workers at the site, given out at a bar after a few drinks, who said they talked to the people doing the Star Wars 9 movie, and then directing the ride, the Rise of the Resistance ride, to make sure it's in harmony with the new Star Wars 9 endings. They say it's changing day by day, and as of now, as of this date, the Star Wars 9, as of this date that this video was made, the Star Wars 9 whole movie has just been leaked to you. The whole movie. But the thing is, they keep changing their mind. They want to go, should we stay woke, or should we try to make as much money as we can? And then if we make, and someone has mentioned, if they want to make as much money as they can, then George Lucas came out with a new ending. George Lucas came out with a new ending that tested so much higher than anybody else, and it'd be a George Lucas ending to Star Wars 9. It would not have any black babies and then Kylo Ren running after the stormtrooper. It has, rumors have it that it is, they're going to introduce, quote, a lost Skywalker. And George Lucas said, George Lucas came up with that. He came up with a lost Skywalker, and he's going to he do the whole third act, last third of the movie, redo it, and it'll be according to George Lucas, and they think it'll make a lot more money than what anything Disney has come up with, and they're just trying to decide, should we go with George Lucas and make a lot of money, or should we stay woke? And everybody at Disney is saying, stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. And then who cares about anybody else? Who cares if the company goes under? You know, maybe we can make it a California state park. They'll make Disneyland a California state park, government park, a socialist government park, and then they'll be able to keep doing the Star Wars 9 movies or whatever. They'll still make money for somebody after the bankruptcy. So they're saying, yeah, let's go down with the ship. Stay woke. Let's go down with the ship. And who cares about them? So what? We'll keep them from enjoying Star Wars too, and the Disney parks. So and that's what Disney is going to. That's what they're favoring. They're favoring this Star Wars 9 that I just leaked the whole movie to you via rumors, unsubstantiated, but that's everybody at Disney wants to do that, except people who lent them money and their investors. People who lent them money and the investors are trying to say, let's do this Lost Skywalker. And so rumor has it, George Lucas keeps his lips sealed like on this. But I gotta warn you, he has to be mad at Disney. He has to be mad for all the things they've done to try to make less merchandise income for him. Uh, whatever he says, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Everything Disney has done so far has been to try and they said, George Lucas said, they're slave traders. He sold his children to slave traders. That's how bad he thinks about Disney. And is he going to give Disney a good ending for Star Wars 9 just because it's his movies and it's his company? It used to be his company. I don't know. Uh, it's kind of hard to believe that he would, after all that money that Disney has tried to keep from him, like 20% of the merchandising of the early Star Wars characters. Uh, I have a hard time thinking he's going to do anything to help them. And in fact, rumor has it the Lost Skywalker is just as big of a joke as Rey having black babies and then Kylo Ren running after the black stormtrooper, because the Lost Skywalker, according to rumors, is going to be a four boob kid. It's going to be, Luke Skywalker's baby with one of those green monster things that has the four boobs, and then he turns out like 80% human, and but he has four, and he's a guy who has four boobs on him, and so he's running around fighting, jumping and stuff, like Luke Skywalker, but he has like four big hunking boobs shaking in front of him, and that's the rumor. That's the George Lucas rumor rewrite of how he's gonna improve it, and that's and